Hey, what's up, fellow fight fans? Well, back once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC on Fox 26. Robbie Lawler against Rafael Dos Anjos from Winnipeg, Canada. And a fun-filled card. I mean, I must admit, I really like the look of the card. I think this could be a lot of excitement on this card. A lot of fun matchups. There's some unpredictable fights in there, I think. But overall, a really solid-looking card. Coming off Swanson versus Ortega. A little bit of a ropey night for my picks. I had a couple that went kind of the other way, the judges, which happens sometimes. But I mean, Brian Ortega, that guy's got a serious. I don't know how I've not managed to kind of get on the bandwagon a little bit sooner with Brian Ortega. The guy looks legit, and if he gets his hands on you and gets his arms around your neck, you're in deep shit. So, yeah, looking forward to this card. I say thank you for all the support as per usual. Had a great 2017, looking to do even better in 2018, and that's all down to you guys, so thank you very much for the support. So we're going to get straight into it. First two fights are in the welterweight division, and first up is Nordine Taleb against Danny Roberts. Interesting fight. There was a couple of fights that were Sheldon Westcott was supposed to be in here. There was someone else too. People fell out. Fights came together and they got rearranged, and they all stayed on the same card. Nordine Taleb is, I think he's an alright welterweight. He looks a physical specimen. Likes to kind of fight in the outside and kind of pepper you from there. He did that in like the Ponzinibbio fight. I thought he had times in that fight where he looked decent, and I think he was a heavy underdog in that one. And he gave Ponzinibbio some problems. Overall, he lost the fight, and he lost via decision. It went on to face Oliver Enkamp in Sweden back in May, and Enkamp's just he's not got the experience to really stay in there with someone like Nordine Taleb. And I think Enkamp, I don't know when we'll see that kid again, but I think I'm looking forward to seeing what progressions he's made. I know that Taleb's been out in Thailand at Tiger Muay Thai and stuff, and doing all his work out there, and of course being at TriStar as well. Wins over Eric Silva and Chris Clement, so guys out there who he should be finishing. He was finishing. Clements he went to decision with, but losses in there to Ponzinibbio and Alves. And Alves, when he turns up, can be a tough guy to face. Danny Roberts, a guy I'm a big fan of, and someone I think that has a lot of talent, but sometimes puts himself in a position where he can get hit a little bit. I think this fight's predominantly going to be a stand-up fight. I think Danny is the better fighter, the better boxer. He just has to protect the chin a little bit and not get hit with like long shots from the outside and don't get pot shotted. I think that Taleb's game plan is going to want to fight long and keep on his feet and try and get a decision here if he can. I think that Danny can knock him out. I think that Danny can find his chin. So this is an interesting matchup because I do think Nordine Taleb can win across 3 rounds. And I think if I'm to take Danny Roberts, I think he has to come out here very, very quickly and win the early rounds, because I think Nordine has a good chance of winning this on the judges' cards if he can fight to his game plan, which I think will be to fight long, maybe get in the clinch and maybe push Danny Roberts against the cage. In some fights before Danny came to the UFC, he did use a little bit of grappling. He's alright in that aspect. We haven't really seen it in the UFC. Maybe a little bit in the Dominic Steele fight where he stopped Steele from taking him down and kind of fought to keep it on the feet, which ultimately did, and he won the fight there. Danny's coming off a big knockout win over Bobby Nash. He was taking some shots in that one as well, I remember, and just came out and uncorked a big shot in the second round and put Bobby down for a huge win. I was really I was front row for that, and I was really excited for that. It's one of the big moments of the card for me. Looking at this fight, as I say, I think that Nordine's going to want to fight long and kind of keep on his feet. I think that Danny's want to get in close, use the combination boxing, and just kind of put a hurting on in close against Nordine Taleb. So I'm going to pick... I think I'm going to pick Nordine Taleb in this one. I think that he's going to fight across 3 rounds. That sucks because I really like Danny Roberts. I think he has a big chance of winning this fight. I just see Nordine Taleb fighting from a distance and winning a 29-28. As I say, I really hope that Danny Roberts wins this here. I just think that Nordin's going to be... It's going to be a bit of a spoiler fight, this, and he's going to pot shot from the outside and win rounds through that. Hopefully I'm very wrong with that one there. But I see that Danny's the underdog, which kind of surprises me a little bit. I thought the odds would be at least a pick'em. I'm going to pick Nordin Taleb via a 29-28 decision. It could be a split. I'm actually going to go a split decision win for Nordin Taleb. Welterweight division, Jordan Mein against Eric Silva. Trying to find any confidence in picking either one of these guys was really tough. Eric Silva, really, when you look at his record, all he's really did is beat Cans. I think his win over Luan Chagas is actually a pretty decent win. I rate Chagas. I think he's a tough guy, and he managed to stop him in the third round there. He took his licks in that fight, but he still went out there, won the fight, and got himself a win. And then lost to Yancy Medeiros last time out when I thought he started okay, but Yancy kind of came into the fight once Eric started to slow down. I think Eric's going to have to come out quick. If he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to finish Jordan fairly quick. And I don't see him doing that, not unless he catches him with a big body shot, like a big body kick, or just blitzing him and catching him with a shot. I don't see him really hurting Jordan Mein early. It's really tough, this fight. I mean, Jordan Mein has not looked good since he came back to the UFC, and I just think this is a fight I'm really not confident. I mean, he's lost his last three. Thiago Alves, Bilal Muhammad just kind of boxed him up really over the 3 rounds back in July, UFC 213. I'm going to pick Jordan Mein, but honestly, I think this is going to be sloppy. I think it's going to be over 3 rounds. I see Eric Silva winning a round in there, possibly. I'm going to go Jordan Mein via decision, but honestly, it's like a 55-45 confidence rating in Jordan Mein. I'm not overly confident, but it's hard picking Eric Silva because he gasses, he can be taken out himself, so I'm going to go Jordan Mein via decision. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 card, we have Alessio Teixeira against Oluwale Bambos. It's an interesting fight. The way I see this fight going is, can Teixeira survive the onslaught early on from Oluwale Bambos? If he can do that from Bambose, then he can most definitely, I think, win this fight late on. Oluwale really gasses bad. I thought in the fight with Borishina, he had parts of that fight where he had opportunities to go from Borishina and he hit him with some shots, but the guy's so sloppy, so open, he tires so quick that if he doesn't finish this early, I don't see him winning this fight late. I just don't see him ever really win a decision, not unless he gets that second wind in the second or the third round where he's gonna win a round and maybe win a 29-28 decision. I think all Alessio really needs to do is really just survive the first round. He may take some big strikes in that one, but ultimately I think he can out-grapple Bambose late on. I think that's the way I kind of see this fight going. I see him losing the first round and then winning the second, and then I can potentially see a finish from Teixeira in the third round when Bambose is really just gasping for air. I think that he can get takedowns. I think he can hit him with ground and pound and potentially win via TKO. So I'm going to pick a third round TKO for Alessio Teixeira. He's coming off a pretty devastating loss himself actually to Eric Spicely, where he got submitted in the first round. I just feel more confident picking Teixeira, and it's really one of these fights again where it's like 60-40, 55-45 confidence that I've got in the guy. Not going to be one of my most confident picks of the card, but I think over the 3 rounds, and that's the big thing, is 3 round fight. If he survives, I think he wins late on with a superior gas tank and the better conditioning. So I'm going to Teixeira a third round TKO in that one there. Lightweight division, we have John Makdessi against Abel Killer Trujillo. I'm a fan of Trujillo, but this matchup I'm a little bit iffy with. Makdessi, I do think his chin is deteriorating. I do think he's fighting around not getting hit. on the button pretty much. I like the fact that he's went back to TriStar. I think that was a big thing. The whole home gym thing was not working out for that guy. But once your chin's gone, and trying to fight around that is a hard thing to do. I think he can do that. I mean, the last time we seen him was nearly a year ago when he got wheel kicked by Lando Venata. His winners against Mehdi Baghdad, and then you look at the people. I mean, he lost to Cerrone and Medeiros. Medeiros is on a run right now. Cerrone's always going to be a tough guy, and Venata is one of those guys that can uncork a big shot and hit you. Baghdad is terrible, and he went to a split, and ultimately Baghdad could have won that fight. He jumped up for a absolutely disgusting flying armbar and put himself on his back, lost that third round, and Makdessi went and won the split there. Trujillo, as I say, is a guy I love watching fight. I think he comes out there looking to take your head off, can wrestle with you a little bit, but ultimately he wants to keep this on the feet and land that big shot, which he can do and he has done in the past. Coming off that loss to James Vick, that's not a loss bad on your record because Vick is a very good fighter, but wins over Jordan Rinaldi, Tony Sims, I can't say they're big wins in the UFC because they're really not, and he went to decision and he actually choked out Tony Sims. He's going to want to come out, get into the face of John Makdessi really early and look to put him down early. I think this is what I've got a funny feeling that Makdessi could weasel a decision and weasel rounds, but there's also aspects of this fight where I see Abel Trujillo landing the big shot and hurting him in the fight. So I'm going to go for the stoppage victory here for Abel Trujillo, but honestly it wouldn't surprise me if John Makdessi went and won a decision here. I like Trujillo to find the chin at some point, which is going to put Makdessi on wobbly legs, and then Abel's once he's got you hurt, he's a really tough guy to get off your back, so and get away from. So I'm going to pick Abel Trujillo via second round TKO there, but say I'm not super confident. I'm like 70-75%, but I could see Makdessi doing something there. Flyweight division, Tim Elliott against Pietro Menga. Pietro Menga's a guy that we've known in the UK for a long time. 13-0 record, undefeated, with some really good wins in there against Rani Sada, who just had his first loss recently. That's a guy I highly rate coming out of Europe. Hasn't really fought in about a year and a half, but he's been calling for fights. I know one of the cards, I can't remember which one it was, it might have been 204 actually. Somebody fell out and he was literally, I seen him driving around trying to get the UFC's attention to try and get that fight. I think it was at 135, I can't remember who fell out, but he's been looking to get a fight, and he's had a couple of fights fall through in the UK scene. Pretty decent fighter actually. I think after he gets this one out of the way, I think he will win fights in the UFC without a doubt. I think that if he had a full training camp, I think there's aspects where he could actually probably hold down Tim Elliott for aspects of the fight. But I think on a week's notice, I think that Tim Elliott's too... he's a different fighter as Tim Elliott. He's a hard guy to really get ready for. There was a lot of silly... he jaunts in and out, and he's a little bit hard. He's just a hard guy to fight. Even Demetrius was having his problem. I mean, he's a tough guy to really game plan for and get ready for. The guy can grapple really, really well. He moves to advantage position really well. We've seen that in the Smoker fight. We've seen in that fight that Smoke actually took him down as well. So Menga could definitely have an aspect here where he could maybe get a takedown. Do I see him keeping Tim Elliott there? Not on a week's notice. I don't think he can do that. I think that Tim Elliott, being unpredictable with his movement and just being a little bit different than probably what Menga's ever seen before, will lead to Tim Elliott eventually getting takedowns. I think that the short notice is going to play a factor here, and that's how I kind of see this. I think that on the feet it's fairly even, but I think Elliott is the better grappler, coming off a full camp, which he's been training for. I see him getting takedowns, and I see him doing it across 3 rounds for a decision victory there. So Tim Elliott v decision there. Charlie Laprise against Galore Bofando's next. This is the fight I'm really actually interested in. And now, Bofando's a guy we've knew about in the UK for 4 or 5 years. He fought for a while, then disappeared. Then he comes back, he's got a UFC fight, albeit against Charlie Ward, who is one of the worst fighters we've ever seen in the UFC, has been Charlie Ward. and I was in Glasgow, and we were in the hotel beforehand, 2 or 3 days before the fights, and this Bofando guy was just running up and down stairs. There was like a top level of the hotel where he was literally doing backflips, cartwheels. He was doing like flips across the top landing of this hotel, doing sprints up the stairs. Really nice guy, but like really an athletic freak. And you've seen that with some of his fights before he went to the UFC. Throws spinning back kicks which lead to trips, wheel kicks, 360 kicks. The guy's crazy, but he's one of those fighters that can go boom or bust. He can knock you out, or he could go and DQ himself, and that's what's happened. He's got disqualified a few times before for illegal shots. In the fight with Charlie Ward, he was landing some big shots. He got put against the cage, and then it's the first time I've ever seen something like that. He tossed Charlie Ward and knocked him out. Literally threw him to the ground and he knocked him out. I'd never seen it. I was sat there and I was thinking, what is going on here? Could not believe it. I thought Charlie Ward's going to get back up from that. Charlie Ward was out, and it was crazy. And then when I came home and watched it, and you saw the velocity which he tossed him at, just a crazy knockout. It was something really, really cool to witness in that there. I think he's got a chance in this fight as Galore Bofando. I really do. I think that Charles Laprise has a chin that you can attack. I do like the way that Charles Laprise fights long and kind of fights behind his jab a little bit and looks at that, but he's trying to protect that chin, and that chin of his I don't think is great. I think Bofando, if he comes out here throwing a lot of like really funny strikes, he could catch Charles Laprise, and I think he could. His two wins are against last two wins against Thibaut Goutet and Brian Camozzi, guys I don't think are very, very good. I do rate the Barberena win. I think that's a good win to have on your record, but Cedeno was a win I wasn't too impressed with. Lost the split decision to Ross Pearson, lost to Trinaldo where he got knocked out. Honestly, I think I'm going to pick Galore Bofando here, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that because I don't think Bofando is overly that good, but I do think he's an athletic freak who could throw some really funky shit and knock out Charles Laprise. Now, he has to do it early. I think if he doesn't do it in the first 8 minutes of the fight, he's definitely going to lose. There's so many bad aspects of Bofando's game which are really bad and kind of unknown still, but he has this big power and he has this kind of scary, freakish athleticism which I think that could back Charles Laprise up, and that's when Galore could. When you watch the fights before he comes into the UFC, he backs his opponents up against the cage. If Charles Laprise really puts his back against the cage in this fight here, I think he could be in trouble because Bofando will start throwing things, spinning. Like some of the things he does is like a spinning back kick to a trip, and on top of that, he's got heavy ground and pound. So if he gets him to the ground and he's got that top domineering position, he will land some heavy ground and pound. I'm going out on a kind of a leg here. I'm going to pick Galore Bofando. I haven't seen the odds for this one. I'm guessing Laprise will be a heavy-ish favourite. But I think Bofando has just got... He's boomer bust. Total boomer bust. I can be made to look really silly with this pick. Or I might have seen something that maybe other people don't see. But Bofando is crazy to me. I just think that this is the fight he can win. I really do think he can win this fight. I think he can find the chin. So I'm going to go a late first round knockout for Bofando. Hoping I'm not going to look like a bit of a tit with this pick. Could happen. Has happened before many times. But yeah. I think if it goes in past the middle of the second round, Laprise is going to win a fairly comfortable decision. So I'm going to pick Bofando. I'm going to go and give it the underdog a shot, just like I did last week with Andre Sukumtath, and hopefully it kind of comes through there. So Bofando for the win. Middleweight division, Julian Marquez against Darren Stewart. Like Julian Marquez in this one here, Darren Stewart's coming in here in very, very short notice after Vito Miranda pulled out. And the guy literally fought a month ago as well. So and he got stopped in the first round by Carl Roberson, who I think is a really good fighter, but I think that Marquez actually hits harder. Stewart's going to want to look to take this fight to the ground, and land that heavy grounding pound. I don't think he wants to stand on the feet with Marquez. I think Marquez has some big power. He showed that in the Dana White show when he knocked out Phil Hawes with a kick, a lethal kick, head kick that put Phil Hawes down. So the way I kind of see this fight going is Darren Stewart's going to want to come out and rush, put him against the cage and take him down. I don't think Marquez will allow that. I think Marquez will stop a takedown, stop the initial takedown, and start landing some bombs. And I think that Darren Stewart it's going to start eating those shots pretty quickly, and it's going to get hurt really quickly as well. It's probably the last we'll see of Darren Stewart in the UFC. I do think it was a little bit quick him coming into the UFC, in all honesty. I did think that first win he had in Brazil was pretty shitty that they took that away from him. That should have been a win in his resume, but then he lost the rematch to Barroso. Then Robertson really got him to the ground and just put him to sleep nicely, made him tap out. Marquez is a pretty confident pick here. I'm going to pick a first round TKO victory there for Julian Marquez, and I don't see too many paths to victories for Darren Stewart in that one. I'm not confident in picking that at all, so Marquez will be the pick. And the main fight of the prelims, we have Jan Blachowicz against Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. I like Cannonier a lot. I like him in this fight, but I'm not as confident as what other people out there are. Just the fact that I think that Blachowicz, when he shows up, can do some things that are, like we've seen the Latifi with a big leg kick. Now we don't see that often, really, in all honesty. But in the fight with Gustafsson, he was really doing good on the feet and was just getting taken down. Gus was holding him there, working from the top, and really putting a beating on him with the grappling, and that's how he won that fight. He was outstriking Alexander Gustafsson, who is a good striker. That was the first time since Gus was coming back off the fight to Cormier. Looked a little bit rusty, but still, I thought he gave a great account of himself in that fight. And the fight with Devin Clark in Poland earlier on this year, where literally Devin Clark was putting his head in a position he shouldn't be, and he got caught with a nasty guillotine from Jan Blachowicz. Jared Cannonier, I think this is his first time. He's moved out to Arizona, first full camp where he's training full time at the MMA lab, and they've been a little bit of a run. They've had some fights when recently. Mackenzie Dern won last week, Scott Holtzman. But I mean, I know he beat Nick Rorick last time out, and he needed the referee to kind of pull that off. I thought it was a little bit of a. I think that really could have went to decision, if I'm being honest with you, but he did land some pretty devastating elbows. To be fair, that Rorick came in and then he popped fairly quick after that. Lost to Glover Teixeira, which is nothing bad, considering Teixeira is a really good fighter. Had his moments in that fight. I just don't think he threw enough. I thought there was opportunities where he could have won that, got taken down, and Teixeira really won the fight from there. I think the Cutelaba fight is a really good win. Cutelaba gassed, and Jared came onto that really quickly there and won the fight. And then there was still Alaska and Sean Jordan. I'm not going to say too much about that. I say I'm going to pick Jared, but I'm not overly confident. There is people out there, good buddies of mine, that are very confident in Jared Cannonier, and they maybe see something I don't, and good luck to them. I hope they cash that bet. I'm going to pick Jared Cannonier. I think if Jan can't get it done early, that Jared's just going to wear him out a little bit, put him against the cage, work the body, and really do what Manawa did. Manawa put him against the cage and kept him there, and won the fight through there. So I think that Cannonier maybe has enough in him to do that and win a decision. So I'm going to go Jared Cannonier via maybe a 30-27, 29-28. I'll go 30-27, if not a stoppage. But I like the decision there. So moving on to the main card. First fight up is in the light heavyweight division with Glover Teixeira against Misha Cirkunov. Now, if you asked me 6 months ago who I'd be more confident in this fight, I would probably say Misha Cirkunov. But then that fight with Volkan Oezdemir, where he really got hit with a little shot in his ear, and it's not even a big shot, and got put down in like 26 seconds. Now the thing is with that is that Volkan Oezdemir went and did it to Jimmy Mano after, so maybe this is more on Volkan Oezdemir. and maybe not so much Misha Cirkunov, but he came rushing in with his chin in the air, with his head ready to be hit. And Glover Teixeira has really good boxing, really good timing, can throw some really good counter strikes, and he's shown that throughout his UFC career that he could catch Misha Cirkunov. And when it goes to the ground, Misha is very good in the ground. I think that Glover Teixeira can match what Misha Cirkunov has, if not better than what Misha Cirkunov has. So ultimately, I think this comes down to the striking. I think that the better wrestler is Glover Teixeira. I think jiu-jitsu wise, it might be pretty even. Glover is very dangerous. We've seen that Misha on the ground is very dangerous. And when it comes to the feet, I'm more confident in Glover Teixeira than I am in Misha Cirkunov. If this stays on the feet, Glover, I think, will find the chin of Misha and put him down. So that's kind of how I see this fight going. I thought Glover actually, although getting outclassed completely by Alexander Gustafsson, showed that he can still hang with those top guys. I know he took a beating, I know he got knocked out, and there was numerous times where the fight could have been stopped. But Gustafsson's one of the top 3 guys we've had in that division in years, and he stuck around until the 5th before getting taken out there. I think he can beat Cirkunov. Very surprised to see he's the underdog in this fight, in all honesty. So I'm going to pick Glover to win by TKO in round number 2. Welterweight division. Whoa, this is the doozy. Santiago Ponzinibbio against Platinum Mike Perry. I've been going back and forth in this one. Initially, I was fairly high on Ponzinibbio. Watched more of the Mike Perry fights. Now, if you've watched my videos before, I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with Mike Perry. At the beginning, I just thought this guy's not overly very good. Then I started to see little things he was showing, and his game is definitely getting better with every fight. And the guy is a savage, an absolute savage, and he's a pleasure to watch as well. Came over to Manchester, fought Danny Roberts, had a great fight there. That's a great win coming overseas, stopping Danny Roberts in pretty much his hometown. I know Liverpool is, but as close as he's going to be without fighting in Liverpool. And just had an all-out war in that one there. And Mike Perry's just went, he's kind of like, ever since he's come into the UFC, he's went strength to strength. I mean, Alan Jouban, he lost that one there where Jouban really fought from the outside, peppered him with leg kicks, and that's an aspect I think you can use against Mike Perry. But he's one of those fighters that makes gradual leaps in his ability every fight, and that's something I like seeing from fighters. Jake Ellenberger, I absolutely marked that guy with a huge elbow in the clinch, which is something that Mike Perry is very good at. In the clinch, you can throw a lot of devastating strikes, so Ponzinibbio really needs to be careful on how close he can get. And if you've seen a few fights back, that Ponzinibbio sometimes gets brought into a little bit of a stand-up kind of brawl, like the Larkin fight, and then get put down. Nordin Taleb was finding the chin of Santiago Ponzinibbio. If Mike Perry finds that chin, of Ponzi, then he will put him down. I have no doubt about it. I think that he can recover from it, but he doesn't want to get hit by this guy because Mike Perry will be on him on a second trying to finish this fight. And then obviously, Mike Perry's last win was against Alex Reyes. That was a fight that he was going to win handily anyway. Reyes was coming in there short notice, like 3-4 days, caught him with a big knee in the clinch and put him down. So with Ponzinibbio, I got to see his last fight in Glasgow. It was the whole aspect of fingers in the eyes, and that's true enough. I think you've seen it, but it's a fight, those kind of things can happen. But he capitalised on that and went and finished Gunnar Nelson in the first round, which shocked a lot of people. I had a lot of Icelandic dudes behind me pissed that went down. I was wanting Gunnar to win. I'm a Gunnar Nelson fan, but Santiago Ponzinibbio, literally all week in Glasgow, he really didn't. We've seen him one time before the fights, which is really something that you don't see too much out of fighters. Usually you'll see them milling around, they'll go outside, they'll go for walks, they'll go to the gym. We've seen Ponzinibbio late Friday night before the fight, which is really, in fact I think it was Saturday. It was Saturday before the fight. where we saw Ponzinibbio finally come out. So he was completely focused on what the task at hand, went out there and won the fight. I think this is going to turn into a little bit of a brawl, and that suits Mike Perry. Now, I think that if Ponzinibbio is smart, he will try and fight long and don't get involved in those battles in close against Mike Perry, because Perry has some big strikes and he can put you down. I think that Ponzinibbio has it in him to fight long and win the fight from that, but I think there's also aspects where he can get drawn into a fight and into a brawl, and that is only, in my opinion, going to favour one guy, and that's Mike Perry. I see this as pretty much a 50-50 fight. When that happens, I'm going to lean the dog and the guy who I think can bring the fight out of the other fighter. And I think Mike Perry can find the chin of Ponzinibbio. Maybe not put him out, but can definitely win a couple of rounds. In fact, what am I saying? He can definitely put out Ponzinibbio. If he finds the chin, he can put him out. We've seen Ponzinibbio been put down before by Lawrence Larkin. I'm going to pick Mike Perry, and I'm going to pick him via knockout. I just think that he's going to bring the fight out of Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio's going to fall straight into what Mike Perry's trying to do, and then from there he will win the fight via TKO. So I'm going to go second round TKO for Mike Perry there. Really looking forward to that fight though. It's an interesting one. It'd be nice to see Perry winning and they match him against Darren Till. That's a fight I think a lot of people want to see, including myself. So co-main event, Ricardo Lamas against Josh Emmett. I like Ricardo Lamas. I've seen people fairly high on Josh Emmett. I'm not seeing it so much. I think Lamas is coming off a great performance against Jason Knight, who looked absolutely terrible last week. Looked a shell of himself. So maybe Ricardo Lamas has beat the brakes off Jason Knight, and Gabriel Benitez just fought a really good game plan and went and win that fight there. Josh Emmett, this is his second fight at 145. He looked very composed, I thought, in his first fight at 145, where he beat Felipe Aranches. Thought he could have got him out of there, but won the decision fairly unanimously across all the scorecards. I think that just Lamas is the better fighter. I think he can use takedowns. I think he's got devastating leg kicks. I think when he puts his hands together properly, he's got some big strikes as well. And I just think that Ricardo Lamas, overall, is just the better fighter. So that's kind of where I'm going with this one. I've seen the odds, and I've seen people bet on Josh Emmett, and I don't think it's a bad bet, in all honesty. Because I think that Lamas, I think he's kind of levelled out of where he's going to be. So if Josh Emmett really rises to the occasion, I think he could definitely win the fight. Good luck to the people that are betting Josh Emmett. I really hope that bet comes through, because you're putting your money on it, you're putting your money where your mouth is, trying to bet this big dog here. I just feel more confident picking Ricardo Lamas. So I'm going to pick Ricardo Lamas. I think Emmett's got enough to stick around for 3 rounds though, so 30-27 decision for Ricardo Lamas. And the main event of the night, we have a ruthless Robbie Lawler against the former UFC Lightweight champion and Rafael Dos Anjos, who has looked fantastic since moving up to 170. But this is a different beast, moving up, facing Tarek Saffiedine and Neil Magny to facing Robbie Lawler, who's a guy that we don't see all that often, but we know the guy's an absolute savage and a beast. And this, like the version of Robbie Lawler, him coming back to the UFC has been fantastic to see. If you were around many moons ago when he was in the UFC, and he was just like a young kid, really fun fighter to watch. Got knocked out by Nick Diaz, which is a fight I always watch when I have to look back at Robbie Lawler fights. Then there's the Strikeforce fights where he was getting his leg absolutely abused by Melvin Manhoef, and then uncorked a shot, put him to sleep. And I think leg kicks could be a big thing here for Rafael Dos Anjos. I think he used them well against Neil Magny, obviously. Used them against a really good technical striker in Tarek Saffiedine. Also used his cage presence really well, where he put Saffiedine against the cage and controlled him and really worked the body and worked very well in close. And I really enjoyed that win that he had over Neil Magny. Coming up, I mean, he had a huge height and reach disparity, and he just literally beat the brakes off him with a leg kick. got him to the ground. Once he got him to the ground, got to full mount, and then put the arm triangle choke on him very, very quickly. In the fight with Saffiedine, though, I know it was his first fight at 170, but first 2 rounds I thought he looked great. Third round he started to fade a little bit, and that's where I think that Robbie Lawler could potentially start to come on strong in the late rounds. Now I know that Rafael went 5 hard rounds with Tony Ferguson at altitude as well, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. But Robbie Lawler is a guy that I think he can have spells in fights where he doesn't do much, but then there's spells in fights where he comes out and he's just an absolute beast, and he's somebody that you have to be very, very careful with at any time, because he could throw huge shots at any time and put you down. I mean, his only loss is to the UFC welterweight champion in Tyron Woodley, who I think is a really, really good fighter as well. Condit, McDonald, Hendricks now is not what he once was, but they're big wins. Rory McDonald's still a young guy, and he's beat him twice. I think he's still a top 5 welterweight in my opinion, easily. Donald Cerrone went out there. I thought Cerrone actually fought a good fight, but Lawler stands there and he's hard to really fully commit throwing shots against, because you know what you're going to get back. If you haven't got that speed, what Tyron Woodley has to really get in and pop him with a huge shot and put this guy down, he's going to be in your face for 25 minutes looking to take your head clean off. I see it being very close very early. I do see Dos Anjos using kicks, trying to maybe attack the body, go with low kicks, potentially try and clinch up with Robbie. But late, I see Robbie coming into this fight. So I think maybe after 2 rounds, it'll be a round apiece. Once it goes into 3, 4, 5, I think that Dos Anjos could still be around then, but I think that Robbie Lawler will come on strong in this fight, which is something that I think he has in his back pocket. We've seen that in the Condit fight where he rose to the occasion, started going for it. Same in the Rory McDonald fight. He just has those spurts where he's an absolute beast and can land massive shots on you. I think he's at that point where he might start to deteriorate a little bit. I just think he's better than Rafael Dos Anjos. I like the fact that this is his second fight within 6 months as well. And he's keeping at least active a little bit after the year layoff, which I thought was smart against Tyron Woodley. That was a big knockout as well. So I think he's been working with Henry Hooft for this camp, so it'll be interesting to see what his striking is going to be like for this one as well. I like Robbie Lawler. I think he can get a finish late on as well. I think rounds 4 and 5, if Dos Anjos slows down a little, I think Robbie could come on and potentially put him out. I'm going to pick a decision though, because I do think Dos Anjos, his chin will be better at 170, just not cutting weight and deteriorating on the body and the chin and so on. But I do see him winning maybe a 49-46 or a 48-47. Kind of similar to what the Tony Ferguson fight was, which was closer. It was a 48-47 fight. But I'm going to go Robbie Lawler, unanimous decision victory there. So that's my picks for UFC Winnipeg, UFC in Fox 26. We have one card left for 2017, UFC 221? Is it 220? 219 even. Cyborg versus Home. And then we're into the new year with Stipe Miocic against Francis Ngannou. So we've got some really big fights coming to start off 2018. Looking forward to this card. Looking forward to going to work, getting home, and getting ready to watch this one. And then we're on to UFC 219, which is the 30th of December. I will probably try and get that video out to you maybe Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, depending. I know I'm working Boxing Day, but I will try and get that video out for you as soon as I possibly can. Enjoy Christmas, my first Christmas with my daughter, but then try and get this video out for you. So give me a little bit of time to watch some tape on that, some great fights in that card. So as always, thank you for your support. I always appreciate that. So all the best. Enjoy the fights this weekend, because I really do think it's going to be a great card. All the best. Take care.